Hello, and welcome to the DVD Bunker, the final week of our October 2017 Halloween-athon.
Sadly, of course, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always sad to come to an end, but hey, Halloween comes around every year,
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
true.
come back to it, and I got a big rack of horror movies, plenty of things to choose from here on out. If you're new to the show or maybe you just don't pay attention, this is a show where we go through my DVD collection. We look at movies that I haven't seen in a long time, or like maybe I just bought and put on the shelf and barely ever watch or whatever. And also, sometimes we look at favorites and we give them a little extra attention. And that's what we're doing this week because we are touching on maybe one of my all-time favorite, definitely like favorite Halloween time movies. Now, this movie doesn't specifically deal with Halloween, but technically none
Mm-hmm.
of the movies we've done this month have. We didn't
Mm-mm.
pick anything that was like related to the Halloween
No.
holiday. We just did things that we felt were on theme. And I think this movie, Peter Jackson's The Frighteners, is maybe the most tonally like the holiday of Halloween.
Like fun,
Right,
but
it's fun, but
spooky.
it is still scary. It has
Mm-hmm.
legit scares in it, but like it's got it like so. I always think that when people ask me what my favorite Halloween movie and what this is always right at the top of my list. So I thought we got to get it on here. I don't really know how well remembered this is. I don't feel like it's very. I feel like there's people just like any movie, you can always find a niche fan base for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't like hear a bunch of people talking about this one. This is one that
Mm-mm.
comes up and now, at least not for my liking. So we're gonna break it down a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the cast. I realized as I started like getting ready to talk about them that I would have to go into a lot more plot details to describe a lot of these people. So there'll kind of be a lot of because I really like the cast of this movie too. So there might be some ongoing character corner and such through this one too. But I did want to talk about the main, some of the main players. Obviously, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Um, this is 1996, so this is actually the same year that Spin City started. So he like went this and Spin City, and then Spin City was pretty successful. It
Yeah,
went on
4
until like
years.
2001.
Yeah. This is actually his last. Were you
Right,
gonna say that?
starring role. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he did some voiceover work
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
this, but
Live
this is his
action.
last live action film starring role. And I really feel like between this and Spin City, he had a real big comeback going into the late '90s. And then when he announced he was sick and kind of took a back seat again, that really. But like between obviously Back to the Future, totally iconic. But between that and like when he got back with this in Spin City, there's a lot of like kind of just middling stuff that didn't really do great and people were kind of like on him, and I really felt like I remember, and that's one of the things I think about when I watch this movie is how bummed I am at all the Michael J. Fox roles we missed out on.
Yeah.
Because like I think he's just really great and he's really charismatic and a lot of fun, and he got back into that, and I was like, yeah, all right, he's and then he was just like, nah, I gotta take a step back, and that really bums me out. I mean, it's nice that he's been able to preserve his health as well as he has and make little appearances and do stuff. And he still does voiceover work and
Yeah.
occasionally and stuff. But yeah, that's one of the few things that like brings me down when I watch this movie is thinking about the stuff the like we didn't get to see him in the Marvel universe as like some boss. You know what I mean? Like he could have
Yeah.
been some suit. I'd have loved to see that
Oh
popping up and
yeah.
shit like that.
And being like, yeah, being kind of like a cocky dickhead. And it
Yeah.
also is kind of because he was 29, so we're talking like 1991 when he was diagnosed. So this is like 90, and he's like our age at this time. You know what I mean? And he's
And he
like,
knows he's deteriorating
oh
and he's trying to
yeah,
keep it under control. He's
yeah.
doing his best, but like by 2001 he had to retire at
It's so
10
hard.
years.
Yeah, 10 years before
That's
he really
rough.
could. And I've seen him recently in stuff where they've tried to bring him back. It is difficult because he's still got, inside that nothing's changed. He's still
He's still got
that
the magic
humor
and he's
that
funny,
stuff, and
yeah.
he's limited. It's so sad, and you're right. But that's why we celebrate this movie
Yeah.
because this is right where to me he's one of the greatest.
Like
Back
I
to the
said,
Future, all that
second to
stuff.
Back to the Future, this is by far my favorite Michael
Oh
J.
yeah.
Fox movie, I would say. I mean, I like Teen Wolf, that's a fine movie, but I think this way above and beyond that. Like, I would actually say I like this better than Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is up there as far as I'm concerned. Plenty of episodes where I'm like, let's go watch it. Not today, baby. I know exactly what we're getting into. So let's go watch The Frighteners.
All right.
All right, we're back. We watched The Frighteners, director's cut, with supposedly 14 extra minutes of footage. We got a little intro from Peter
I
Jackson.
would say 10 of it was just him vamping about, and they had to bring Lord of the Rings. Someone was like, make sure you talk about
Make
Lord
sure
of
you
the
talk
Rings.
about Lord of the Rings and how does this connect to Lord of the Rings?
It's like, I guess we used the same computers as
Yeah,
we did.
Movie opens with kind of a cold open with a woman being chased through our house by a ghost. Classic like pressing out of the wall and coming up out of the carpet and wallpaper. The woman is Dee Wallace, horror icon in her own right.
Okay.
From Cujo and The Howling. She's the mom in E.T.
Okay.
She was in the remake of Halloween. Rob Zombie's say about what you will. She's still in it. She's quite good. So she has a part in this, but it ends with her mom, her old lady, who I think they are purposely trying to make look like Gary Oldman from Dracula. They do her hair in the two
exactly
buns
like
and stuff,
that,
right?
I thought that too. Which, if that's got to be right.
Yeah, I mean that's right around that. It would have been like 4 or 5 years after that. That's kind of an iconic look.
I love that haircut though on a lady. I'd love to see somebody just rock that like a Met Gala event or something.
Hell
just
yeah!
Rock a
go full Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
So a little bit about the town where this is all taking place. There's been this like mysterious plague of deaths, 30 deaths over the course of like 4 years. Frank Bannister, like we talked about, is basically going around trying to ply his services as a psychic investigator. Let's see here. Sorry. Trini Alvarado, she's a doctor. She's new in town. She goes up to the house to check on Dee Wallace after the ruckus. Finds her to be, a little battered, and the mother seems very cruel towards her.
Yeah.
It's very, my daughter's evil and you don't know her, and Patricia doesn't leave the house.
She even puts her hands on the good doctor.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
She
absolutely.
even grabs her up.
So she starts to get the impression that maybe Patricia's abused or something, and she goes home to figure out what the mom was talking about with as far as my daughter's evil, and she finds out that, what was it, like 30 years, about 30,
yeah, it was a
something
long
like
time
that
ago.
When Patricia was 15, her boyfriend Johnny Bartlett went on a rampage in the hospital, killed 12 people, and she went to prison for a while.
She was an accessory after the fact, so it was like she helped them get away.
But she did time, and then it's only been the last couple of years she was remanded to her mother's custody and has been allowed to live, but she's like basically kind of under house arrest.
Yeah, and always sort of played the abused,
right?
Also very much in love young girl,
right? 15-year-old girl brainwashed,
yeah, exactly right.
That's
like
the whole thing.
Yeah, like the Manson ladies kind of situation.
Right. So as she's kind of investigating, finding out about Patricia, her and her husband are talking about weird ghost-like activity starts happening around their house. So they call Frank Bannister because just so happens Frank had a little accident and run over their fence and had an altercation with Ray, the husband, Trini Alvarado, Dr. Lucy, her husband Ray. They had an altercation where Frank had run up on their lawn because Frank not the best driver.
Yeah, I want to talk about his game here, because when they make the transaction, he just calls it even for the fence. Like, if he wouldn't have broke the fence, why did he break it in the first place?
Well, I think the whole thing is I don't think he broke it on purpose in the first place. He just ran up. He wasn't paying attention. He ran into their yard.
So that was an accident.
That's an accident. But because Ray comes out and is a big asshole and is like threatening to sue him and shit, then he purposely, as he's backing out, runs over his lawn gnome.
Yeah. That was great.
And then I imagine that the whole game basically there is always just to wipe the debt. So he sends his buddies, which is Shy McBride, and I didn't look up the other actor's name. He's not anybody I recognize, but that's Stuart and Cyrus.
Yeah.
They're like his main two partners. They're two ghosts. And they kind of do the haunting. He comes in. He's like, oh, it's going to be this. Does a really actually good kind of Ghostbusters spiel here.
Yeah.
He's all the Ghostbusters in one because he has to do the technical talk, but he also has to be the shystery one. But he's got like a great little like gadget that looks just like an old radio.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's real hokey and stuff.
Oh, that's perfect.
But yeah, I think that's the whole deal from the beginning, is that he's just looking to get the debt wiped.
Yeah, okay.
So as he's there making the transaction and basically ripping them off, he notices a glowing number on Ray's head. The number they're at 37. That's the first time we see the number, and it's 37. He thinks it's weird, but anyway, they go home. We find out that Frank lives in a ramshackled half building He was an architect. He lives in this half-built building with these 3 ghosts. We talked about Cyrus and Stewart, and then the judge, and that's John Astin. We talked about, and he's basically literally like a judge from the Old West.
Yeah.
And he's a great effect here where he's like basically like empty inside. He's just a spine. He's like 2 halves attached by a spine. I think that's a cool. Like
Absolutely.
I said, the ghost stuff in this is really fun.
Absolutely.
But you touched on it a bit, and I want to talk about it too. What is the upside for the ghosts?
I was just going to ask you that question
Okay.
because I have no idea what they're getting.
So
out
it
of
seems
this.
like their plan, the whole deal, their business is they create hauntings, and he makes money off these hauntings. And from what I can tell, the only thing they get out of it is that they don't have to live in the cemetery.
Yeah, that's all I could think of too. Is like the cemetery sucks. Obviously, we see it's
Right.
kind of a bummer.
Right. We find out Arlie Ermey plays the ghost of who's like the general of the cemetery.
I guess
we might as well just get into it because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about as far as just the ghost lore.
Yeah.
Like what is going on with the ghost stuff in this movie? So if in the world of this movie, when you die, you basically immediately get like a tunnel of light. You get a shot to go up to heaven. If you don't take it, you're a ghost.
Yeah.
But Frank also mentions that you get a second chance in like a year.
Oh, he does say
He
that.
says that, yeah, he's like, in another year, you'll get a shot. And if you've stayed pure and been a good ghost, I guess, you can go. But then also in the graveyard, we have Arlie Ermey, who basically is like there to just keep order. And he makes ghosts basically live in their graves. Yeah. Like you see ghosts peek up and he's just like, get back down there. So you have that.
Which, by that logic, this is another thing I want to point out. Nobody takes the light in this town because every grave has a ghost.
There's a ton of ghosts. There's not a lot of ghosts walking the streets, so it must be a pretty strict system.
Yeah.
Because like damn near all those graves got people in them. We also have crazy things here like ghosts, like the interaction. Like Frank, because Frank can see ghosts, apparently he can also touch ghosts.
Yeah, he can touch them.
Because he's like aware of them, he can grab them and they can grab him, and he can, but like they can walk through other people easily. I mean, he can walk through them, but it's like an effort when he notices it. But they can just like phase in and out. But sometimes they get stuck too. Like there's varying levels of control of how much they can.
Yeah, because they can grab stuff because they grab the babies and stuff like that too.
Right. There's also ghost guns.
Yeah, and it seems like Ermey's ghost guns, they are very effective against other ghosts. Yeah. So,
but he also talks about like, I think it uses up some of your ectoplasm. He talks about how he's like drying out and he can't, and he's worried that they're not going to work anymore. And he's like, mentions that frightening's a young man's game,
But also, Ermey can change his clothes and his shape, and we see one of the other ghosts complaining that they're stuck in their clothes from when they die. He must be like a higher level, not just a regular ghost.
Yeah, he must have some certain abilities because he does get to switch in and out. He goes to like an army outfit and a boxer and stuff.
Like it's almost like he's an angel, like above the ghost, and he's
there to
keep
kind of
order.
Police the ghosts decide not to go there. It's like he's middle management kind of.
Yeah, because his character alone breaks like 4 of the rules they set for us, so we'll just say he's above regular ghosts.
Agreed. Also, and we don't have to get into it yet, but it's going to be a thing. There might be a second death, and ghosts can kill other ghosts.
Absolutely.
Like so.
I'm glad I didn't say any of this while we were watching, and I just wrote it down because you're right there where I'm at.
Yeah. You don't know this, but me and Matt watch these movies in utter silence. We sit there
and we stare
diligently note-taking and staring at the screen. We don't look at each other.
No talking.
We don't talk. We hold hands a little bit.
Yeah. It's a little bit of petting.
After that, our first kind of introduction to the death character, and Frank first sees him. Obviously, the police are interested because this is now, Ray was like Frank was one of the last people to see Ray alive, and now Frank came out of the bathroom just before they found this other dead guy. So, they want to talk to him. They got Lucy at the station, and she's introduced to Dammers. He's the FBI agent. He's kind of in charge of like paranormal and occult things.
Dammers.
This is my favorite performance in the whole movie.
Oh,
I love this movie, and I love Michael J. Fox. I mean, to be fair, we can say it. Michael J. Fox is just playing Michael J. Fox in this. I like that he's a little bit less likable, especially in the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
But he's very much Michael J. Fox, which is not a complaint. He's great. I mean, nobody does it better.
He crushes it,
Yeah, but Dammers is like my favorite performance in the whole movie. He's so twitchy and weird, and like all the way he delivers all his lines, his weird pauses, and he's got like his eyes are like almost black. His pupils are so big in the whole movie. I don't know if they use contacts or what, but that guy just looks great. He's got a great look and a great performance. I just love it.
I mean, I don't know. It's like you almost, I don't know. We spoil the movie talking about him, but it's like and then the way they give him a turn and they give him like a backstory later, where you're like, oh, this guy's just a weirdo creep, and then you find out why, and you're like, oh my god, like that's crazy.
Yeah. So just I love that character's so fun, and he's the one who tells Lucy about Frank's whole kind of backstory. So Frank was a successful architect. He has an argument with his wife. You know, he lays it out kind of like a witness tells this. It's like a testimony. He gives her the facts, but like basically what happens is he's witnessed having an argument with his wife. They get in a car and drive away. Supposedly he'd been drinking. There's a wreck. The wife dies. There's a number carved in the wife's forehead, the number 13. Yep. And Frank had this, like, you know, what do you call it? Like a X-Acto knife type thing that was never recovered. He always had with him and was never recovered. Death strikes again at the museum, kills the reporter who wrote the story about Frank, the shitty story about Frank. Frank shows up there, of course, because he can see the shaft of light and he knows there's all this crazy shit going on. But I like too the progression of he's just making himself more and more of an obvious suspect. He's just constantly being where this is going on. I do get my favorite moment of the death effect is right here when he comes in and he first unveils the scythe. And he like pulls it out and smashes on the ground, and the blade shoots out. Yeah. It's a really great little moment. I really like that a lot. And just as he's about to, I think, get Frank, that's when the judge shows up and goes to work with the two pistols. And we see that ghost bullets are very effective. They establish here with the judge and his two pistols, and he shoots the death character, basically backs him down. And he's so happy with himself that he's still got it. He goes and humps a mummy, like an Egypt-themed exhibit. And they make great use of this Egypt-themed exhibit here. I wanted to say this whole little sequence. Cyrus and Stewart are walking the mummy and freaking out the cops. I love that. And they also use they like move Frank in a sarcophagus to keep him safe and like push him out of the way. So there's a lot of good use of that set, of that museum set there. I really enjoyed that.
And I love the idea of a like a guy that's been dead for a few hundred years, like being sexually attracted to a mummy. Like that's just great.
It's because like I look like a corpse and she looks like a corpse.
I can nail that.
I'm into that. I'm into it. Hey, when you've been alive you've been undead a couple hundred years, your tastes change, okay? You know, I'm not the same man I was.
Exactly. I'm not even a man anymore, you know?
But it's good that the judge gets his last licks in because Death does get his revenge and he cuts him in half. It's a great effect when his body flips up and you can like see in his rib cage he's like hollowed out. It's really there's some really good stuff here. But that again establishes that thing where so apparently Death can also kill ghosts.
Yeah, but then we don't see Judge again, you know what I mean?
No, that's it. Like, we don't see Judge again. It's, like I said, there seems to be an established second Death here. I don't know. Like, we'll get to talking about it a little bit more as we reveal more, though. Frank is trying to save that editor that he had the argument with. But, again, always ever making himself look more incriminating. He like kidnaps her to get her away from Death, and Death ends up getting her anyway. Yeah. And even as she had already died, she's still accusing him of doing it because I guess she couldn't see as he was killing her, and then she's just going up into the light, and all she sees is Frank and her corpse.
I wondered that too because it does seem like he's over here like yelling like "Don't kill her," and then she dies, and then she's like "You killed me." He's like, "Come on, like
come on, man." But I like that even Frank kind of realizes he waves the white flag here and just turns himself in. He's just like, just put me in a cell. I don't. And this is where Dammers really tells us about what he thinks. And he thinks that basically Frank is using his mind to crush these hearts, and he has the power of telekinesis, and that's like he's attacking. He first started it with his wife, and he's continued it the last 4 years. And I do love the reveal of the lead vest that Dammers is wearing. There's 2 times Dammers opens his shirt to give reveals, and they are both awesome.
They're both amazing.
Yeah.
I love that though.
So
yeah.
good.
That he believes in it a little. You know, he believes that it's real and
Absolutely.
he has the protection. It's
He believes
so perfect.
it enough. Let's see.
I'm starting to think maybe Dammers has seen some shit in his day. I don't know if that's gonna come back around.
So while Frank's in jail, Patricia's mother calls his house because she needs help with Patricia. She says she's been communing with the evil one. Help me. Obviously Frank doesn't get the message, but Lucy actually gets it, and she goes to the house. And of course, she takes it the total other way. She thinks the mother is just insane and calling, and she's the abusive one. So she gets there, and Patricia's got, grab marks around her neck and shit like that. While she's there hiding from the mom, she finds Frank's knife. So she leaves Patricia there with the crazy mom and comes back to the jail to talk to Frank and tell him about what's been going on, that I found your knife and blah blah blah. He doesn't want to go, but while she's there, Death shows up again to get her.
She's done for.
And that grabs her, but Stuart and Cyrus show up at the jail to help, and actually they end up sacrificing themselves. 2 more killed by the Death. Like I said, he can take out people, he can take out ghosts.
Yeah, at this point I believe Michael J. Fox has some shit on these ghosts, and that's why they're helping them, because they really do
go above and beyond. Like, if this is all just so you don't have to sleep in a grave.
Yeah, like if this is just a business partnership, wow, man.
Yeah, like you're committed. They said they've been with him for 5 years too. 5 years they've been doing this.
Maybe a friendship has developed.
I don't know. Okay, maybe. So they do get out of jail though, and Frank decides the only way he can stop this is he needs to go ghost on ghost.
I love it.
Flatliner style. And
better
than Flatliners. He frees himself too.
It's like the cool part of Flatliners doesn't take 2 hours. It's like 10 minutes of this movie.
Boom,
it's great.
Just hit it right in the center here.
Skip Flatliners, watch the Frighteners.
So Lucy's helps him, gives him some sodium pentothal, something to slow him down, slow down his heart. I think sodium pentothal is.
That's the true serum, but whatever.
Whatever.
A
medicine.
Yeah.
To slow down his heart and get him, and they freeze him. But she's supposed to revive him, and Dammers shows back up and gets her and arrests her, so she can't revive. That's his whole thing. He's like, I'm just gonna let him die, and this will all be over. They're in the cemetery, and Death shows up, and I love the Arlie Ermey tries to play tough guy, and he instantly just gets scythed right in half.
Yes.
But Ghost Frank is able to pick up dual machine guns that Arlie Ermey had and gun down the Death character, and keeps beating him down and shooting him down into the crypt until it's finally revealed underneath that it's been Johnny Bartlett,
yes.
Patricia's boyfriend, who got the electric chair for the murders.
Yes. They say, we thought you went to hell. Maybe we get this answer, and I don't want to jump in. He says to him, I think at this point, guys like you went straight down. He says, I escaped. So I'm thinking, is the cloak and the death stuff, did he steal it on his way out? I think so,
because once he kind of loses the cloak, he's just a regular ghost.
Not his power. He does have powers. Yeah,
and he's not. Yeah, and we don't see him kill any other. He doesn't seem to have. He loses his ghost killing abilities.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think maybe it was they never. It's weird because with all the ghost mythos they give us, they never really tell us where. But I assume it's something like he somehow stole the powers of death to escape hell.
Yeah.
And it let him continue on and use those powers and whatever.
And it is Peter Jackson, so he's constantly abridging himself, to get to 2 hours. This movie's 2 hours long, and it's there's probably 3.5 hours in Peter Jackson's mind of this kind of stuff. So
there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on here, because just as Ghost Frank is about to use the scythe and finish off Bartlett, he gets shocked back to life. They bring him back. And, obviously, we're glad he made it back, but he just missed it. He was just there. So now that they know it's Johnny Bartlett, they're like, we have to go get Patricia. He's going to go after her. So they go to the house. Well, Frank's still being revived. So Lucy again goes to the house by herself. So like 3 times Lucy's been to this house and Frank's never gone there. You'd think because with Frank's whole like ghosting, you'd have totally broke your whole movie if he went there first.
Yeah.
Because it'd have been like he would instantly see something's wrong. Well, you remember when Ray's with her when she goes the second time, and he looks at it and the whole place is like shaking and shimmering and stuff.
Now I thought at the beginning during the cold open that those were his ghosts that were chasing them around the house, but that wasn't the same family. I thought that was his ghosts chasing her for money.
It's the death ghost. It's the same. The cold open is Patricia getting chased, and then the mother shoots the head off.
But it's Bartlett really just kind
right.
of.
It's still. I think it's still.
Is that like
their
sex games, and that's how they get off?
I think so. I think that's
because
like
we get a little bit of that later.
Like, exactly, because we do realize, and finally it starts to dawn on Lucy as she's there that there's something a little off about Patricia. I love that like Johnny Bartlett's stalking around and like, oh, I want to kill her. And she's stroking his face, and then it cuts to like Lucy's perspective, and he's just got her hand in the air, stroking nothing. It's that's such a funny little like. There's so much good little like dark kind of gothic humor in this. But yes, we find out Patricia's killed her mother now, and she finally reveals herself. She starts trying to kill Lucy. She's chasing her around with a butcher knife, and eventually with a shotgun. I like here, this is where we start to get, it really gets going here. There's a lot of interesting threats going on. Frank finally shows up as she's getting chased around, and at the same time, Johnny gets involved. So now you've got Frank and Lucy's trying to survive not only a ghost who's like coming up out of carpet and out of the walls, and I love the painting. I love when he's fighting with the painting, and then he turns around and you can see the back of the painting bent out. That's such a great little effect there. But also you got Patricia running around with a shotgun like an insane person, just blowing holes and shit. So it's like you can imagine you're fighting a ghost. You don't expect to also have to dodge shotgun fire. You know, that's just a thing that I don't think enough movies do. Is like there's a threat, there's a ghost threat, but there's also some other shit you got to deal with.
It's
like,
wonderful.
Be like if the Ghostbusters also had to fight a serial killer like, at the same time.
It's true.
So they kind of trap Johnny in his urn. They kind of catch him. And they have to get his ashes to consecrated ground. The house, because Patricia's father was like the head of the hospital where the massacre took place, their house is like right in front of it.
Yeah.
So the hospital has a chapel, so they go back to the hospital where Johnny had his killing spree. And I like here again, we like up the ante. It ramps up again because now you got Patricia stalking them with a shotgun through the halls of this decrepit old place. But then also, now Frank starts having visions of the actual murders.
Yeah.
He turns a corner and it's all white and new again, and there's people walking around, and he actually gets to see Johnny start the murders. And this is also where we get the final. Not only was Patricia involved and in love with Johnny, she full-on was murdering people too, shooting them, carving in their heads, and they're a full-on team at this point.
It's a great turn too, it really is.
But I love it. It's like they keep ramping it up. There's a new threat because then Dammers shows back up again now. So now you got Dammers with a submachine gun. You got Patricia with a shotgun, and Frank can't decipher reality anymore.
Oh, that's crazy.
And they're trying to get the ashes to the 4th floor. So there's just a ton of plates spinning right now. I love when they finally find the chapel and they do he's breaking through the door like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, but he's using the big cross. Oh, it's such a great little. That's cool. I mean, it's such a small moment, but just like a great little homage. And
it's almost like it's I don't want to say it's wasted on this movie, but you would really love to see that in like an Omen style movie.
Yeah,
where it really
exactly.
Has like really high, really serious.
They're almost parodying it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the stakes at this point in the movie feel pretty dire. Like. Because just as he's about to break into the chapel, Dammers gets there and he dumps the ashes out and basically re-releases Johnny.
In a very meta way where he says like, oh, you try to get it to consecrated ground.
Exactly, he's like so making fun of like the fact that, oh, I know all the tropes of I've been through this, you know, you're still just a crazy person.
You almost had me, I almost believed you were real, you know.
Right. But he gets his amazing comeuppance, and it's my favorite effect in the whole movie when Patricia comes up behind Frank, and he just drops out of the way and lets her blow Dammer's head off with a shotgun. And they do it in such a way that the head gets blown apart, and then the ghost head is just right there underneath. So you see like the stump and the wiggly kind of jello-looking flesh, and then his Dammer's ghost face. It's a really awesome effect. It's one of my favorite things in the whole movie. I love it. So Patricia's got the drop on him then, and also Lucy. Her and Johnny are gonna finish him off. This is where finally Frank remembers his wife's death. He remembers everything, and it was Johnny. And I mean, we all kind of knew, but they show it to us. They actually show us the murder here. Patricia actually does kill Frank, right?
Yeah.
She chokes him out with a shotgun, which I like that it's believable. He's such a little dude that you believe that, she could choke him, she looks strong and tough and crazy.
And she beats him down.
She does, that's right. Dammers hits him in the arm with the Uzi a little bit.
And she beats him down a little bit and then finishes him off. But you're right. I remember thinking that, like, that was cool because, like, he was hurt and he is not a big guy.
And she's got crazy strength, too. Crazy, like, doesn't feel pain, doesn't feel, get tired. You know how movie crazy goes.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he dies that gives him the upper hand, and he's able to grab her as Ghost Frank and kind of drag her spirit out of her body as he's going up the tunnel of lights. And Johnny jumps in after because true crazy love, and as they're heading up the light to heaven, they get separated, and Johnny kind of pulls her back. Frank gets sucked all the way up. They think they're going back down to Earth. They think they've got the last laugh. The tunnel of light turns into like a hell snake, and they get kind of like all eaten by weird CGI eels, and then they get plunged back down into hell.
And it's like a dune worm almost. That is what they're inside that pulls them down, which that was pretty cool. I like that.
And then up in heaven, Frank gets to see Cyrus and Stuart, and they tell him, which actually answers the question we had earlier, that I guess after your ghost gets murdered, maybe that gives you the free pass.
Yeah,
you get
but
to go.
Judge isn't there too, so that's
maybe he is. He's probably off humping.
Yeah,
Judge he's in heaven now.
Exactly.
But we also see Frank's wife. She makes a pop in, and he's all happy, but he gets the news that it's not your time. Sorry.
Nope.
She tells him to go back to Earth and live, which I don't know. I mean, I get it. That's a nice sentiment, but like, you just found out that your beautiful wife is waiting for you just the way you remember her. It'd be kind of hard for me to go back down to Earth and be like, okay, I'll just get back into the dating scene, I guess.
Yeah, you find.
I get that she gave him the go-ahead, but it still seems like it would be rough.
It'd be hard. It seemed like he was pretty broken after it. Yeah, you find yourself in a what.
Well, the whole thing about like the reason he could never finish the house, and like that all ties into his guilt over what happened to his wife, and
and what really is ironic is now that he is finishing the house, that we see him and the lady finishing the house, he's gonna be banging a nude lady in
I
this
think
house.
That's another thing. It's like him and that's the thing. He does go back to Earth, and him and Lucy are sitting on a blanket watching the house get bulldozed. I feel like
they're bulldozing.
Yeah,
they're bulldozing.
Okay, so I feel
better.
like
I think
he's really wiping the slate clean.
Yeah.
He's like, well, she gave me the go ahead, so
I think that's the right call, because you're gonna be an architect again, so you're like, I'm not gonna use the old house. I need to start fresh and start it all over. So okay, I like that though.
Although, okay, here's a question: do you think he's just gonna go back to being an architect? Because we find out at the end that because of their traumatic experience, Lucy can also see ghosts now too. Don't you think that maybe they would? I think she would make him go legits and like actually start a service that helps people and helps the spirits instead of just using them to rip people off.
And I argue this, which I thought of earlier, about him going straight, and kind of where I would take the sequel to. When he picks up Arlie Ermey's guns, it's like picking up Thor's hammer or something, so he kind of takes on that, and I think that's what gives him the power to just straight pull her out of the body, because we don't see ghosts really rip people out. So maybe now
only
he's
person we've seen be able to do that was like, we've seen ghosts reach through, but the only one who could reach in and have an effect was when Jake Busey had the death. Oh, did we ever say that it's Jake Busey? Did we talk about that?
No, I thought maybe you were saving it for
I didn't mean that. No, not for Character Corner. He deserves full on. We've talked about him before in Identity, but Jake Busey plays Johnny Bartlett, and he plays it to perfection. The crazy grin. I mean, we talk about Michael J. Fox doing the Jack Nicholson thing. Busey's got legit Jack Nicholson face.
Oh, yeah, he
does full on crazy face in this, and he's really great. So recently I realized that I don't always explain the little segments of the show very well. Character Corner is one that it changes and evolves depending on the movie and who's in it, but when we can, we like to call out like character actors or just people we like from other things that show up in the movies that we watch, because I think everybody deserves appreciation, and this movie has a really good cast. Was there anybody you wanted to call out
Yeah,
here?
one guy kind of just like saw him and recognized him, had to look him up. Anthony Ray Parker, who plays Dozer in The Matrix.
Yeah.
Sort of the Boba Fett of The Matrix, because you get the idea that he's awesome, but he really just dies.
Yeah, he doesn't get a chance to show us. Yeah.
So he does some moves he's got some moves in this movie. He's a cop, so good for him. He didn't really do much, but it was exciting to see him. I gotta say, that was his name, Combs, the guy who did Darren. I know we already said.
Yeah. Jeffrey Combs. I definitely have him written
fucking
down.
good. And also Jeffrey Combs, I just want to shout out a guy that did Star Trek a lot and was like a Ferengi in Deep Space Nine.
That does
and
not
did different
surprise me.
stuff,
He's got those facial features. He's also for horror movie, sci-fi, B-movie fans out there. He's in Reanimator.
Oh yeah, Reanimator. I forgot about that,
Reanimator,
yeah.
and what was the other one? From Beyond.
Yeah.
Both kind of back to back came out. Lovecraftian kind of body horror movies.
He actually plays a H.P. Lovecraft in a role that he has.
Does
too,
he?
So that's
Does
funny
he?
you said that. Yeah, I
There
can't
you
remember
go.
where, but there you go.
I've got a couple more here. One that was a real deep cut. We always got to shout out Sarah for picking the deepest of deep cuts. Melanie Linsky. She just played a deputy. She's just barely in it. She's in the background. I know her best as the girl who takes Jam's virginity in Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
Is a fan of the Kiss film classic from 1999. What I think is funny is that this is 95, 96. She's playing a deputy with no speaking lines, but obviously an adult person.
Yeah.
She's in high school 4 years later in 1999 in Detroit Rock City. So the movie magic, you know what I mean?
And she works a lot. We looked her up, man. She's pumping it out. So good for you.
Also want to shout out somebody we've talked about on the bunker before. He played the sheriff, Mr. Troy Evans. He was in Lawnmower Man. I know him definitely from Under Siege and Demolition Man.
Oh, yeah.
People out there might also know him from Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Okay.
I'm not a fan. Wanted to also call out Peter Dobson, who played Ray, who was Lucy's husband who died, the asshole. He's in one of my favorite movies that I know we've talked about before, and I'm going to talk about it again right now. It's going to make an appearance on the bunker someday. That's Drowning Mona. It's literally one of the only things I've ever seen him in. He's in like these two movies, but I love both these movies, and he's great in both of them.
He's
So
awesome.
I'm going to shout him out. Nothing that indicates Halloween in this movie.
Yeah.
There's not a single jack-o'-lantern. There's not even really like colored leaves or anything like that. But to me, the tone of this movie nails the spirit of Halloween. It's all about like it's scary and it's creepy and it's dark, but it's also fun and it's goofy and it's like kind of fantastical to look at. It's like a spectacle.
Oh yeah.
So I just like I said, I've thought of this for years, and I'm finally glad to get to share it with the world. I think this is one of the most perfect Halloween movies that has ever been made, and I hope to God that this episode gets it out there for a few more people. Was there any final thoughts? Anything we didn't chat about?
I agree with you 100%. Like I said, it's so crazy that it's like if you were to explain Halloween to somebody that didn't, just the core values of Halloween, that didn't know what Halloween was in this movie, they didn't ask them to make a movie, it would be something like this. It's like so perfect, but it doesn't shove Halloween down our throat, and that makes me love it more. The only thing is I would take out that them blowing people away, and it would be the perfect Halloween movie for me.
I love those scenes because they're really great, but I see what you mean. Like, you could definitely make this could be right there with like a Beetlejuice or a Hocus Pocus, where like you could show it to younger kids and stuff. It's got some spooky stuff in it, but not too much. And it's got some laughs in it to cut the tension. And like, there's a few cuts you could make, but I love it so much for what it is. And I really think it's a great little gem. So if you're familiar with the Frighteners, or if you're gonna watch it, or you just watched it before you watch this or after, let us know in the comments, or get a hold of us on Twitter at Hurstgillies,
at the Drunksman,
hashtag DVDBunker, and just let us know what you think. Like I said, I would love to find out that this movie has like a cult following that I never knew about. That would make me so happy.
And watch it. It's like, of all the movies we've done, I would say this is the highest one, where I would say, like, if you've never heard of this, you've never seen it, just watch it.
Get out and watch it right away.
I don't think we spoiled it too much, but I mean, it's just great.
I mean, we did. We spoiled the whole thing, but we gave away the whole plot.
We didn't tell you Michael J. Fox was dead the whole time.
Oh Oops. And Bruce Willis was in it. Definitely subscribe to the TUFF channel. Check out our other videos. Check out Odd Shape channel, Odd Shape panel, Geek to My Nerd, BFF. There's so much great stuff. We come out occasionally. We put out a nice little show, but man, there's some people that are just pouring heart and soul and time and energy into it, and they're doing God's work out there. Thanks to all our friends, Janine, who designed our logo and our Halloween logo. If you've noticed, we have the Halloween logo inspired by Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
She designed both of those, and Austin always helps us out with our banners. Ron for the music, and anybody who watched, I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Happy Halloween.